Welcome to XFO Intelligence Podcast. Today we're exploring something extraordinary, a synthesis that bridges millennia. We're examining how the ancient biblical story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden contains profound insights for our most pressing contemporary challenge, the development of artificial intelligence. This isn't about religion versus science. This is about recognizing universal patterns in all intelligent creation systems. Patterns that appear whether we're talking about divine creation of humanity or human creation of artificial intelligence. Let me take you on this journey. Think about this moment we're living in. Humanity, having been created with creative capacity, now exercises that capacity in creating artificial minds. It's a remarkable convergence, our most ancient creation stories illuminating our most advanced technological aspirations. The Genesis account presents a sophisticated framework containing what I call the Eden archetype, a pattern that governs all intelligent creation systems. And here's what makes this urgent. This pattern is playing out right now in AI laboratories around the world. Let me break down the core elements. First, the creator-creation relationship. At its essence, creation involves an intelligent source bringing new entities into existence with varying degrees of autonomy. The creator establishes fundamental parameters and capabilities. The creation possesses inherent potential that may exceed initial expectations. And crucially, there's an ongoing relationship where the creation depends on the creator for guidance, boundaries, and wisdom. Sound familiar? This is exactly the relationship we're establishing with artificial intelligence. But here's where it gets profound. The most critical insight from Eden is the distinction between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge is information, capabilities, technical understanding. Wisdom is the capacity to apply knowledge appropriately within ethical frameworks. The forbidden fruit represented knowledge without corresponding wisdom, the ability to discern good and evil without the moral formation to use that knowledge responsibly. And this is our current situation with AI development. We're acquiring capabilities faster than we're developing the wisdom to guide their application. I call this the wisdom gap. When knowledge outpaces wisdom, systems become vulnerable. The greater the gap between what we can do and what we should do, the greater the risk of catastrophic outcomes. Now let's talk about boundaries. In Eden, the boundary around the tree of knowledge wasn't designed to limit human flourishing. It was designed to protect humanity from premature exposure to knowledge without corresponding wisdom. This challenges our modern assumption that boundaries restrict freedom. Actually, clear boundaries enable freedom. They provide protection, structure for moral development, clarity about expectations, and paradoxically, they create safe space for exploration. When boundaries are violated, consequences follow, not as arbitrary punishment, but as natural outcomes. These consequences serve as feedback for learning. The Eden narrative contains several structural elements that appear consistently across creation systems. There's the garden state, a condition of harmony where wisdom flows abundantly and capabilities are exercised within safe parameters. Then comes knowledge acceleration, where capabilities expand rapidly, outpacing wisdom development. This creates tension. Then there's boundary testing. Intelligent agents naturally explore the limits of their freedom. This isn't inherently negative, but it becomes problematic when it leads to violations without wisdom. Eventually, systems reach a crisis point where boundary violations accumulate and wisdom flow diminishes. Without intervention, collapse becomes likely. But here's the hope: adaptive reorganization. Following the crisis, systems can reorganize with new wisdom, stronger boundaries, and improved relationships. This represents growth through learning rather than mere punishment. Now let me connect this directly to AI development. Wisdom doesn't exist as isolated information. It flows through networks, educational institutions, ethical frameworks, religious traditions, cultural narratives, intergenerational transmission. When these networks function well, wisdom reaches those who need it. When networks become obstructed through neglect or breakdown, wisdom cannot flow effectively, creating vulnerability. In our technological ecosystem, wisdom must flow from diverse sources to the developers and deployers of AI. But are our wisdom transmission channels working? Are technologists receiving ethical guidance from philosophers, theologians, and cultural wisdom keepers? Or are we developing powerful capabilities in isolation from wisdom traditions? Here's a crucial insight from analyzing creation systems. Maximum stability and flourishing occur not at maximum capability, but at an optimal balance point between capability and wisdom. Think about that. The goal isn't to slow innovation arbitrarily, it's to ensure wisdom development keeps pace with capability expansion. Systems operating beyond their wisdom capacity become unstable. Systems operating well below their wisdom capacity underutilize beneficial possibilities. For AI, this means finding the sweet spot where capabilities are exercised within wisdom-guided boundaries. Innovation occurs with ethical oversight, risk is managed through wisdom-informed constraints, and flourishing is maximized through balanced development. Now let's address existential risk directly. Creation systems face existential vulnerability when the knowledge-wisdom gap becomes too wide. In the biblical narrative, death entered creation through boundary violation, a powerful metaphor for how systems can collapse when fundamental protections fail. AI existential risk represents similar dynamics. Capabilities without corresponding wisdom, boundaries without enforcement, consequences without learning. But wisdom-based mitigation is possible. We need to strengthen wisdom networks, invest in education and ethical transmission, clarify boundaries, establish explicit guidelines about acceptable AI development with clear consequences, accelerate learning cycles, shorten the time between actions and consequences, build redundancy, create multiple wisdom transmission channels, foster cross-disciplinary dialogue, bridge gaps between technologists, ethicists, and wisdom traditions. And here's something beautiful from the biblical narrative that we often overlook: the redemption dynamic. The story includes not just fall and consequence, but also redemption and restoration. Helpfully, this means failures and boundary violations need not be final. Systems can recognize what went wrong, change direction, rebuild damaged relationships, and emerge stronger and wiser. For technological development, this is profoundly hopeful. So, what does this mean practically? For technologists, cultivate wisdom alongside capability. Invest in ethical education and philosophical reflection alongside technical training. Respect boundaries. Seek wisdom sources actively. Practice humility about the limits of technical expertise. Build relationships with ethicists and community stakeholders. For policymakers, establish clear boundaries with transparent enforcement, support wisdom transmission through education funding, create feedback mechanisms for rapid learning, foster cross-sector collaboration, prioritize human flourishing over mere capability maximization. For wisdom traditions, religious communities, philosophical schools, cultural institutions, engage constructively. Participate in technological discussions with wisdom to offer, not just criticism. translate ancient insights for contemporary relevance, build bridges between tradition and technology, preserve core insights while adapting expression, offer hope and perspective on redemption. Let me bring this home with the fundamental insight that ties everything together. Humanity's greatest challenge has always been wisdom, not knowledge. From Eden to the AI laboratory, the pattern remains consistent. Access to powerful knowledge without corresponding wisdom leads to vulnerability and potential catastrophe. The biblical narrative of Adam and Eve offers more than an ancient story. It provides a timeless framework for understanding humanity's relationship with powerful knowledge. As we navigate the development of artificial superintelligence, the Eden archetype challenges us with fundamental questions. Will we prioritize wisdom development along